Okay.
You are live.
Okay. All right. Good evening and welcome to West Virginia Pagan Day of Prayer. I am Lady Gwendolyn, and this lovely person is. Go ahead, Kalina.
My name is Kalina Jones.
So a little bit of a backstory. This West Virginia Pagan Day of Prayer was actually helped started by Miss Kalina here because she did the really got it started being promoted last year, and you did a wonderful healing ritual last year. Do you remember it?
Yes, I do. At first, I didn't. I was like, wait a second, I did this last year.
Yeah. It was great. It was really beautiful. So what do you got for us?
So I have an elemental prayer. It's called an elemental prayer to get us through the pandemic.
Wonderful.
Is it all right if I just I don't know. I was gonna talk about. All right. So I started thinking about. Gwen had asked me to do a prayer, so I was thinking about what to do, and I started thinking about pagan prayer in general and what pagan prayer is to me. And I thought about how ever since I become a pagan, I always have been drilled into my head about personal responsibility. And we hear, we do magic, but even if you're doing magic, if you're not also taking action in the real world, it's no good. So I decided to write the prayer based on the elements, but also it's about the things that we're doing now in the pandemic as we are, trying to be safe and trying to protect each other and ourselves and the community. I know everybody wants to get back together really badly because it's been a year. But I know I was able to hop on earlier for a little bit and listen to you guys talking about your own events and thinking about when you're going to be able to open them back up. But,
yeah, because as of right now, Pagan Pride is in the air. We're not really going to make any decisions until at least June. We're going to see how these vaccines play out and how things are going before we do anything.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I'll go ahead and do the prayer. It's also, I'm going to post it in the event page. And if anybody wants to use it later, you could always use it as you could do offerings to each of the elements. I like to do just salt water and incense because the salt water is good for earth and water. And then the incense represents air and fire. So that's an easy way to do it. So I call on the element of earth, ruler of stability and patience. You teach us to be grounded and rooted, wise with perspective like the ancient trees who have towered over and watched over our fleeting lives for decades and centuries. May we be filled with your energy. May we be objective as we take in the new information constantly coming in. May we be patient as we do what is best to protect our neighbors and families during this time. May we stay connected with those we love in whatever ways we deem to be safe. Thank you, element of earth. I call on the element of air, ruler of creativity and inspiration. You teach us to embrace new ideas and to ride on the wave of their fresh motivation to have clarity in our thoughts, decisions, and plans. May we be filled with your energy. May we consider our options with clarity, unclouded by pure emotion. May we be inspired with ways to make things work for our pagan communities, even in less than ideal circumstances. May we have wisdom as we plan when and how to come back out to small and large in-person events. Thank you, element of air. I call on the element of fire, ruler of passion and will. You teach us the transformative power of desire to destroy or create, the importance of committing our minds and resources to our desires if we hope to manifest them in reality. May we be filled with your energy. May we determine not to let these difficulties we face get in the way of building our communities and practices. May we continue on our path even when we feel discouraged. May we make choices that will clear the way for the safe future we hope for. Thank you, element of fire. I call on the element of water, ruler of emotions and love. You teach us what it is to be swept away with emotion, whether joyful or painful, and what it is to be guided calmly by those same feelings and love. May we be filled with your energy. May we be motivated in our decisions by love for our communities and one another. May we allow ourselves to feel all the emotions the pandemic has brought to us without judgment so that we can release them. May we give ourselves what we need to be replenished and rested. Thank you, element of water. We thank you, elemental energies, for being present with us today. May we connect to and embody your energies so that we can navigate the rest of the pandemic wisely. So mote it be.
So mote it be. So thank you very much for that. That was beautiful.
And that's what I had.
It was great. Okay, so while I got you on screen, so tell me what you've been doing throughout the pandemic, because I'm going to plug you for a minute.
So I started Mid-Ohio Valley Pagans out of Parkersburg, West Virginia, and we have a Facebook group under Mid-Ohio Valley Pagans. And we haven't had an event for a long while, but we usually do meet a lot of times in McDonough Park in Vienna, West Virginia. But last summer we had, I think it was about a month and a half witch camp, where we had monthly lessons and activities that we were doing together in our Facebook group virtually. And now we're doing we started a study group last month of the book Paganism: An Introduction to Earth-Centered Religions. And we're actually using it's Facebook rooms. It's kind of like Zoom to meet and do live study discussions. So that was really good.
Those rooms are amazing.
I really, really liked it. Yeah.
I had one in my group, and that's how I learned tarot. And now we're going to be starting one up, studying. There's a couple people that we want to learn birth charts, like get started on astrology and stuff like that. So those are great tools. Absolutely great. Those rooms are great.
And if anybody wants to join, anybody who's semi-local can join and participate in any of the stuff that we do in there.
So that's Ohio, West Virginia.
Yeah, anywhere around. And in the pandemic, I've started adding more people we have some people from Kentucky and Pennsylvania too now. So.
Yeah. Well, that's still Ohio Valley, so there you go. So Kalina is up for West Virginia Pagan of the Year this year for her work that she did over the pandemic with the witch camp and keeping things going and keeping the people in her community motivated. So
thank you so much for the nomination.
Yes, well, you deserve it. You do work hard. And a lot of people see it. It's not just me. So a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, Kalina."
I like doing it, so I get things out of it too.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. If you're going to do something for the community, at least make sure that you love to do it. It's not not for any other reason than to make you happy. Yeah. So.
And I want to plug for a second. I just want to plug my community because they're amazing. Because I'm very introverted, so I try to make everyone feel welcome. But it's them who every time we have an event, they see somebody walking up to the shelter we've never seen. They're like, "Hey!"
Right?
So it's so welcoming, and I really love it.
Good. So I got a couple comments that your prayer was beautiful. And congratulations on the nomination. So
thank you.
Everybody seems pretty blessings from Niagara Falls.
You can join too. It's far from the gallery, but
this is for everybody. Pagan Day of Prayer is for everybody. We can all benefit from it. So all right, Asen, where you at?
Right here, darling, like the normal cloak that I am. I'll put myself where I like to be. There we go. I like being in the bottom, down here where I belong in the bottom, especially with this. So, Kalina, how has your view of the world changed during this hermit time or this tower time?
From a pagan perspective or just in general?
In general.
Well, to be honest, I'm an introvert, so I'm kind of afraid of things opening back up because I'm like, oh, I don't have to go very many places now.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, I think we see some people being selfish in ways that we didn't expect them to be, as far as like not social distancing and stuff. But also we see a lot of people who are trying really hard to make things work, I think. So
and adapt.
Yeah.
Which
So,
you've
I
been
think,
marvelous with.
thank you. Well, yeah, and I think, and like the internet stuff makes it so much easier. I don't know what we would be doing if it wasn't for all this technology.
I admit I've become more introverted throughout all of this, and I'm perfectly happy staying at home and not going anywhere and venturing out.
Exactly.
I would stay in all the time now,
Yeah.
because whenever I do go out, I have to rein myself in, because if somebody's not wearing a mask or not wearing it appropriately, I'm like, listen here. I get a little aggressive, so they kind of have to hold me back.
Well, I know sorry.
Go for it, darling.
I know there are different opinions within the pagan community, and I'm like totally open to that and respectful of that. But I do I don't love it if I see people who are planning events or things like that who are disrespectful to people who are social distancing. Like, I think we can respect each other without name calling and stuff like that.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
like I'm not expecting, like, if we do end up having Pagan Pride, I am not expecting a big turnout. It's not going to hurt my feelings if the community decides, hey, we don't want this right now. If the community decides we don't want this right now, we will go virtual. We will be perfectly happy with it. It is the only reason that Pagan Pride exists is for the community. And that's just how I feel about it.
We are, and just to put it out there into the ether, we are already planning a virtual backup that'll run a lot like today has ran. It'll have timed lives. We're not scheduling them back to back. We will make sure, like we done last year.
Oh my gosh. Last year. It was packed, and we were like barely had time between people. It was just like boom, 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 which was great, but you did not have a break at all.
No, there will be a 15-minute stream switch, because this is this is the problem we run into, and we ran into last year, is this computer gets a little unhappy when you're on for like 19 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so let's see. We have one comment that said that she's an extrovert, but last year has changed me to be better at balancing out. Very much so. And I think that's been a great time to be reflective. Where do you get your inspiration for your prayers at, Kayla?
Goodness. As far as like just rituals and prayers that I write. I usually think a lot of times now this one's a little different, but sometimes it comes from like mythology. I think last year I did the Phoenix for Pagan Pride, and then one year for Samhain we did the Descent of Inanna. So a lot of times it's something based on like mythology with a lot of symbolism and metaphors. And really it was because of the elemental associations that I was able to do this one, because it made it so much easier to organize everything and to think about the things that we want to embody in those energies.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Kalina. What did you learn about yourself over the pandemic, over this past year?
Oh, goodness. I realize you guys are going to quiz me.
Yeah, well, because I came out with it. Most people know that I've been doing shadow work for over a year. So I just, we talked about that earlier.
I would say to some extent, I have been thinking a lot about my practice and how, like, a lot of times we plan, like, we have events for sabbats a lot of times when it's not the pandemic. And so I would sort of be going through the like symbolism for each season, and it felt a little superficial. So I've been really thinking about how I can deepen my own path. And to some extent, I've been looking at like the original source material for like when Gerald Gardner was getting into like starting Wicca and all that stuff.
Really?
Yeah, so I've been trying to go.
Interesting.
I haven't gotten into everything that I want to, but I've been trying to go back and think about looking at the original stuff that inspired neo-paganism.
You're doing exactly what I've been talking about.
Well, please let me know if you get a copy of the Pickingally Papers.
What is it?
The Pickingally Papers.
Okay.
From George Pickingally.
I don't think I'm familiar with them.
George Pickingally was a cunning man that would teach magic and basic witchcraft to anyone that would listen to him back in the 1800s. It has been accused that Gardner got a lot of his information from the Pickingally Papers.
Okay, yeah, I think I might have read something about it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, the history.
It is.
And I just got into sort of some of the British traditional witchcraft this year. So.
Very cool. Yeah. And I don't know, this time I've just started focusing on me during this pandemic, and me, and focusing on my path and my direction and my voice and how I'm going to be. And I think that's a big hermit lesson, is focusing on the one. Without the mask, without the garb, just the one.
Yeah, most of us have really figured out who we are supposed to become. At least gain some sort of insight and learn to appreciate what we have a whole lot more.
Yep. And I find that gardening went crazy during the pandemic.
Well, as soon as it started, it seemed like everybody was trying to learn the garden.
Good.
Yeah, and I think that we naturally go back to our roots. Yep. All right. Well, thank you, darling. Thank you for joining us. And
thank you guys for having me on here.
Very much so. Sorry we were a little late and we switched streams. Now, everybody, we will be coming back at 9 o'clock from Lady Guinevere's closing ritual for tonight.
I do not care if it is pouring the rain. I am going to be outside at the fire.
As long as you cover me with plastic, I am not getting wet. Witches melt in the rain, I have heard. I know computers do, and Joe will not be happy that the computer gets wet.
No, I'll call Joe and be like, "Hey, I got a project for you now."
Yeah, that's a no repair, honey.
That's a job for Mystic Computers right there.
Yep.
Well, I started out outside and there were some neighbors bumping bass, so hopefully you have better luck than I did.
Yep.
Well, I could hear the neighbor a couple houses down, so I put the easel and I was like, oh. But yeah, I will be out there because I didn't get to start it off this morning because the wind advisory. At this point, I do not care.
Yes, you do. We are not burning down Fairmont.
Or Clarksburg.
Or
North Central West Virginia.
Did I tell you about the last witch that tried to create, that got mad at a storm, what she created? A derecho. We don't need that.
Oh, I remember those.
Yes.
So,
Am I supposed to see my face up?
Are you supposed
Am I supposed to do? I supposed to click leave? Is that what I do here?
No, I'm going to end this broadcast. All right, guys, we will see you at 9.